It's a long way to the top. If you want to rock and roll, you want to rock and roll? Driving on the highway, going to a show. Stopping on the byway, playing rock and roll. Getting round, getting stoned, getting beat up, break a bone, getting high, getting shook. I tell you folks, it's harder than it looks. It's a long way to the top if you wanna rock and roll. It's a long way to the top if you wanna rock and roll. If you think it's easy to do one night stands, try playing a rock and roll band. It's a long way to the top if you wanna rock and roll.
Good evening, race fans. I'm your host, Caden Reif, and welcome back to the 2007 season of the NASCAR Coca-Cola Cup Series. We're here from Lowe's Motor Speedway. It's race number 12 of 36, one of the most widely anticipated races of the season. It's the Coca-Cola 600 as we get set for the longest race on this year's calendar. Here from Lowe's, after the All-Star festivities, it's a second trip to this cookie cutter intermediate as we take you to the track side for the starting lineup in tonight's race. Starting on pole tonight is going to be Kyle Busch in the 43 car, joined by Elliott Sadler's number 83 on the front row. DJ Kennington in the 81. He's going to start in third place. Dale Earnhardt Jr. will be in P number 4. Jason Leffler is going to start from the 5th position in the 00. Ryan Newman will join him in row number 3 in 6th. 7th goes to Juan Pablo Montoya, and 8th place will be Greg Biffle's number 16 car. 9th is going to be Carl Edwards, and Robbie Gordon will round out the top 10. 11th place goes to Jeff Gordon in the 24, and Bobby Labonte will be in the 12th position. 13th will be Jimmy Johnson, and Casey Atwood in the 14th spot. Casey Kane will be P number 15, joined by Scott Riggs in the 16th spot. 17th, that's going to be Todd Bodine, and 18th is going to be Brad Keselowski. Jeff Burton will be in the 19th position, and Tony Stewart in 20th. AJ Allmendinger will be P21, and Casey Mears in the 22nd spot. Matt Kenseth will be number 23rd spot, and 24th goes to Clint Boyer in the 4. Justin Allgaier back this week in the 02. He'll be 25th, and David Runeman will start in the 26th position. 27th goes to Ricky Hendrick, and Martin Truex Jr. in 28th place. 29th, that's going to be Scott Wimmer. John Andretti will be in the 30th position. 31st goes to Marco Sambros in the 13, and Boris Said will be in the 60 this week. He's 32nd. Kevin Harvick will be in 33rd. J.J. Yaley starts from 34th place. Jamie McMurray will be in 35th, and Ashton Lewis Jr. in the 36th position. Brian Vickers, 37th. Jeremy Mayfield, rough qualifying in 38th as well. And Kurt Busch, another rough qualifying for him. He'll be 39th. Eric Norris starts in 40th, and rounding out the field in the back row, it'll be Ron Hornaday Jr. in the 1 car, and Jeffrey Bodine in the 7 here in the Coke 600. 120 laps is your race length tonight. It's a long one here under the lights, but we take you to the trackside for the most famous words in motorsports, the command here from Lowe's Motor Speedway.
Drivers, start your engines!
Field roars to life as we get set to go. Kyle Busch and Elliott Sadler, 43-83, going to lead the field to the green here tonight. And here at Lowe's, it's always an attrition race, 120 laps, longest race on the calendar by far, and also one of the raciest races. We see these guys get real aggressive at this racetrack. It's a lot of fun to watch them get at it. And of course, the battle up front is going to be very, very exciting in the first run of this race. Pit stops are going to be more important in this race than ever. And those pit cycles, if we go green, which is a rarity at this racetrack, if we can manage to go green, it's right around 30 laps on that pit cycle. You can split it right down the needle, but it's going to be tough to make it all the way to the end and cut that final pit stop out for these guys. But that's important only if we go green. Lowe's does like to get aggressive. We see mechanical failures in such a long race. It's a hard task to go 120 laps green, but this one is sure to be exciting here, Nate.
Yeah, and usually in a race this long, you would expect for drivers to bide their time and to take care of their equipment. But if the All-Star festivities were any indication of what we're going to get tonight, expect lots of racing all throughout the field for all 120 laps of this race.
Absolutely. It's going to be hard fought, high speed, one of the fastest intermediates on the Coca-Cola Cup Series calendar. This racetrack is fairly new surface, a lot of grip in it. Kyle Busch and Elliott Sadler on the front row here tonight. It's 120 laps of Lowe's here at Charlotte, and we are green as Kyle Busch leads the field off into the night. Field up to speed out of turn 4, and for the first time tonight, Kyle Busch is going to lead the opening lap. DJ Kennington moves into the second position right behind him. Field 2 wide behind them as everybody gets sorted out here in the opening laps here tonight.
Kennington, the fastest car in the All-Star race by far, until the very end when Casey Kane found something to challenge, but it seems like that 81 has been hooked up to this racetrack ever since they unloaded off the truck.
Absolutely, and DJ Kennington and that 81 team, of course, they brought the All-Star car to this weekend as well. They wanted to have the same machine underneath, and that's the thing a lot of teams do. It's not an irregular occurrence, but some teams like to make adjustments. They like to send it back to the shop, make a couple of changes since it's so close. But for Kennington and that 81 team, Kennington, when we talked to him on Saturday leading up to this race, said, "We barely changed a thing." And for Kennington, it is a great start here tonight. He's already taken the lead away from Kyle Busch on lap number 3 and puts his MB&A Chevrolet out in the first position early in the running here tonight.
And Elliott Sadler up in second, a good qualifying run, and he really, really needs a good run today. It's been a bit of a struggle this year. While his teammate Montoya has flourished, got a win at Talladega, but Sadler, last season we were really just waiting for that win that never came. This year thought it was going to be the year to break through. Hasn't quite happened yet, is sitting 24th in the standings, but certainly has had some speed at points throughout this season. But a good run today really could get some momentum under that 83.
Absolutely. Another driver worth shouting out early in the running, Jason Leffler, as that 00 looks to try and take away third place here. Off to a great start in that 00 as he already qualified in the top 5. Mentioned him on that starting lineup as they battle for the lead between Sadler and Kennington up the road. But off to a great start here today. We've seen flashes of speed out of this young man, and he is having another good run to start here today. There's a long, long way to go. A lot of adjustments that are going to be made on pit stops, so we're going to see a lot of comers and goers in tonight's race. But this is a confidence booster to be starting this far up front. Have the leader out your windshield like that is always a good sight to see. And for Leffler, it's a good foundation for what could be a very strong run here today.
Say that as he does lose a spot to third place now, Dale Earnhardt Jr., who looks to be flying right now. That 88 has flown through the field and is now gaining on our 2 leaders.
Off to a very good start. Top 3 have broken away a little bit. It's Montoya now in 4th in the 84 car. As things start to get settled in just that little bit, you'll start to see that accordion effect that we grew so familiar with in the All-Star, where these guys string out just a little bit, then get racy up front, brings everybody back into it. Going to be tough to see early in the going who's got the best stuff with this field so close together. It's usually that first pit cycle where you start to see guys break away just a little bit. The field likes to spread out, but still a long, long way to go in this race, and it's going to be a long time before you start thinking about that checkered flag.
Yeah, but right now you just got to think of getting all that track position that you can. So when you do have to pit, any sort of damage that could happen on your pit stop gets mitigated as much as it can, because bad pit stops are so costly at this racetrack where it's so racy and so packed together. You can lose so many spots.
Absolutely. Pit road is a bit of a challenge at this racetrack. We see incidents getting on pit road. It's difficult to stay off of each other. It's always a challenge on pit road in this entire series, for that matter. We see these guys, these are some of the best in the world, but when you're going that slow, it's deceptively difficult getting in your pit box, trying to avoid sliding the tires, all that good stuff. And that's the number one thing that's going to be on the forefront of every team's mind in tonight's race. When it's so long, you got so many of those stops to make every 30 laps. It's going to be a big challenge for these guys to try and nail the more underrated part of what's important in tonight's race. But you see this group of leaders starting to bunch up once again. You saw Montoya run down Dale Earnhardt Jr. for third, trying to join his teammate in this top three. Not quite to any avail yet, as Kyle Busch slips up to the top of Jeff Gordon. That's for 5th place, I believe.
I'll tell you what, that 81, everybody's been chasing him seemingly since they unloaded off of the All-Star weekend. But whatever adjustments the rest of these teams have made, it hasn't seemed to matter that much, because the 81 has remained in the lead since the moment he got it.
Absolutely has been the dominant car early in tonight's race. Montoya making another challenge with Dale Earnhardt Jr. for the 3rd spot. As these two go side by side down the front stretch. It's close between this top group. Sadler's been hanging right on the back bumper of that 81 since the green flag dropped. Hasn't quite been able to find a way around him for first yet. 12 laps into this race now. 81 and 83 down the back stretch as we head down towards turn number 3. Still no move from Sadler's been biding his time pretty well. And that's the number one thing you think about as he takes a little bit of a look, running just a little bit lower down out of turn number 4. Patience is key. It's such a long race. No, we keep mentioning that, but it's important when it's 120 laps. You got so long, so much time to work with. You want to try and pick your fights when you can, and Sadler's doing a good job of that right now, but still trying to think about that lead as he's going to try and take a look down into turn number 3 underneath the Kennington for first. For the first time in about 10 laps, we're going to see the lead change hands, as Sadler ahead by about half a car length at the stripe, and he clears going down into turn number 1.
But importantly for Kennington, he was able to get down in front of Dale Earnhardt Jr. and not get stuck on that top lane. So Kennington minimizes the damage there from losing the lead and is going to take a look right back at Sadler. 81 car looking really strong.
Elliott Sadler all the way against that outside wall, trying to get the run off the corner. Kennington a little bit loose off the corner, couldn't hang with him, so Sadler leads a pair of laps in a row. Does he clear this 81 down into 1? The answer is yes. It's a great run on that outside by that 83, and that's something we talk about at this racetrack, especially in 3 and 4. That outside really likes to work, and you'll see some guys really ripping it against the wall, especially on fresher tires. It works a lot better to run that outside lane than it would later in the run. So Sadler, great defense out of that 83 there.
And Elliott's teammate Montoya is entering the fray here as well. We were mentioning earlier how he was in 4th, well behind the front 3. Well, he has caught them, and so has the rest of the pack. Looks like these Red Bull cars have something for this 81 this weekend. Going to be interesting to see how they fare on the longer runs. But big run for for Montoya on Elliott Sadler, rather. Is going to try to take this 2nd spot.
And this 84 especially, we talk about that longer run. Montoya seemed to have come alive in the second half here on these tires. So really gained a lot of time. He pulled all the way up to the back bumper of Dale Earnhardt Jr. Took him a couple of laps to make that move stick. Finally got past him for 3rd. Now into 2nd place. That 84 has been competitive in a couple of races this season and is really starting to shine here. Now moving into the 2nd position, has a great car underneath him and is going to be the next to try and track down this 81 for the race lead.
And we've said it a few times throughout the season, but I am so impressed with Juan's ability to just adapt to this oval racing. It's something that was completely foreign to him before he came to the States last year for the Busch Series. Has entered the Cup Series this year and is now looking for the lead in one of NASCAR's biggest races. Juan Montoya potentially about to go to the front here.
Side by side for the lead out of turn 4. Kennington with the run on the outside. Can't lead the lap. It's Montoya's first lap led of the night. Has Earnhardt Jr.'s number 88 down with him on the bottom. Approaching lap number 20 in just a couple of times around here, but Montoya into turn 1, clear for the race lead.
And about Juan's ability to adapt, he's just one of those guys that he loves to race. He will get in anything you ask him to, and he can compete in it. He's just one of those guys that just has a natural ability to adapt to any race car, and it's not something that most people have, but the ones that have it are really the ones to watch for.
Side by side again for the lead. It's Dale Earnhardt Jr. on the bottom this time. Made quick work of that 84 as he slips right on past into the lead. Battle for first is continuing to heat up as we see driver after driver take over now, and it's Earnhardt Jr. that's got the lead this time.
Power move from the 88 really just made it look easy as Montoya now stuck on the top lane. Has a little bit of help from Kyle Busch. Very close as they're going to go 3 wide.
3 wide behind as Elliott Sadler tried to throw a huge block on Casey Kane. Managed to stay in front of him after the corner, but very nearly spun himself out into the inside wall down the front stretch that time, but managed to get out of it. Now we see some more new drivers entering the fray as Casey Kane's number 12 makes an appearance as mentioned. Jeff Gordon, who's been in the back end of the top 5 since the start of this race, is slowly picking him off, trying to move into third past Junior as Kennington has moved back into the race lead. Saw him get underneath the Junior last time by, but Montoya is going to be the next to challenge him. Couldn't quite make anything happen there in 1 and 2. 81 back to first.
I'll tell you what, 3 wide at this racetrack, it may look like they have a lot of room in between, but through that dog leg with how fast they're going with this newly repaved surface, that is not anything less than sketchy. And the fact that they made it through there without incident, bravo to those guys.
Absolutely, and it kind of cut him a break. It's on the front stretch at this racetrack, which it's about a lane wider than the rest of this racing facility, so they had a little bit more room to work with. But the second you get into turn 1, you run out of that room, and you saw them almost run out into the wall. It was a driver on the outside. It was Kyle Busch that had to run it so high, and Kane just kind of backed out of it because of how shallow he had to enter that corner all the way down on the bottom. And you see the way that white line cuts up back into the racetrack in turn 1. There's not a lot of room to work with here, and when you're averaging as high speeds as they do here, it gets even more difficult.
And it's also deceptively difficult to hit your lines at this racetrack because of how fast they're going. This track is not necessarily designed to go as fast as they're going around here, but the drivers have just done such a good job over these past few years before this track wears out of being able to run this fast around here without really major incidents most of the time.
Absolutely.
As we see Dale Jr. now start to catch Kennington for the race lead. We'll see if he can have anything to say for this 81, but the 81 has looked to have the best speed in clean air of anybody in this race.
Absolutely, but you think about it at this racetrack, it's been a couple of years since it got repaved, but we've seen this year the speeds have kind of ticked up a little bit with this new race car. Obviously, we mentioned the fact a couple of times over the course of this season that the Gen 5 has just that little bit of extra downforce, and we've seen it in effect here today. These guys have been throwing it at the racetrack, and it is such a high average speed. I believe it's around 180 miles an hour per lap at this track on fresh tires. Might even be higher on stickers to start off your run, but nonetheless, these guys have been so quick, and we've seen such aggressive racing. And again, you're going to see the battle for the lead. Here's Dale Earnhardt Jr. underneath of Kennington for first into turn number 1. Down on the bottom, Kennington on the outside, side by side. And Earnhardt Jr. again looking real strong in turns 1 and 2, and he clears without a challenge.
And interestingly to note, I was looking at it at the start of this race, when we were looking at Kennington in the lead on those fresh tires. The lowest corner speeds that he was going was 184 miles an hour, and the fastest top speed he was going was 197. So the top speed average on stickers is roughly 190 miles an hour, which around a mile and a half racetrack is flying.
Absolutely. It's one of the most challenging tracks on the schedule for a reason, and we're going to see first pit stops here tonight. Lap number 28, Earnhardt Jr., Kane Newman going to stay out. And DJ Kennington is going to lead the first group as Ricky Hendrick is blowing up, and that is going to bring out a yellow flag in the middle of the pit cycle.
And that is really going to screw a lot of guys over. But Ricky Hendrick's nightmare season continues. Seems like not a lot has gone right for that 5 team, as it just grenaded out of turn 4.
Traffic going to have to get around him as he is on the apron there and going to have to get towed. Caution comes out as Dale Earnhardt Jr. catches a bit of a break here and is going to be the race leader, at least for the moment. We'll see how things cycle out after these guys pit under yellow flag. And if we're going to have any cars trapped a lap down, we might. Uncertain, but nonetheless. Lap number 30, Earnhardt Jr. catches the lucky break, and we get our first caution of the night. And he's going to lead the remainder of the field down pit road under caution flag here.
And we'll see how this cycles out, but definitely not going to be ideal for quite a few guys. But unfortunately for Ricky Hendrick, his Coke 600 is going to end a fourth of the way through. It's going to be the first DNF of this race, which is not what he was hoping to see because that 5 team has really struggled this year.
A lot of drivers down pit road under yellow flag. Earnhardt Jr. 4 and fuel and away. As everybody heads on and off of pit road. I think there were a couple of cars who already had pit that came in to top off since they had to come in early on cycle. So a couple of these guys that are in front of that 88 off of pit road, I do believe, are lapped. They are. Kennington is one of them, going to get a lucky break and get waved around back onto the lead lap here, but there's going to be a lot of cars that are going to end up a lap down thanks to this mess. And going to have to look back under that yellow flag as to who is going to be the lucky dog, but Dale Earnhardt Jr., if I am not mistaken, is going to be your race leader here from Lowe's Motor Speedway. And right at that 30 lap mark, lap number 31 for the 88. We'll take you to intermission and be right back here from Charlotte. Back from intermission here at Lowe's as we get set to go green. That caution flag flipped this race on its head. There are now only 19 cars on the lead lap. Montoya in the 84 is going to be the lucky dog. The rest of them were waved around at the tail end of the lead lap. But Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s number 88 is going to take the lead. And this race just had a light switch flip. And a lot of cars that were real quick are going to be members of that group that are now trapped a lap down.
And a lot of guys that we haven't really talked about all day are now going to be, within this fight on the lead lap. So definitely some potential here for some guys to get some finishes that can turn around their season. But up front, it's a man who has not won since 2002, Dale Earnhardt Jr. Obviously, a lot of time left to go. But if you're the 88, you got to like your chances.
Pace car peels off here as Junior leads the field to the green. Your top 5 is 88, 19, 38, 12, 21. That 18 of Bobby Labonte is lapped, as are a lot of drivers in this show. Already side by side for second, as Edwards and Newman are going to get at it early and try and make it a Yates 1-2.
And Newman might go all the way to the lead here. Junior is going to get down in front, but it's Yates 1-2, and Truex now in the frame as well, so not too far behind. Hasn't been a great season for Truex, but having a good run here today.
Sliding into turn 1 on the cold stuff. Side by side between teammates for the lead as Newman threw it up the inside for first. 88-38 down the backstretch. And it is 2x2x2, etc. here on the restart.
On the Rocket Man out front now in front of his old car. Casey Kane now going to move into second place. Those Yates boys looking good right now.
Absolutely have the stuff to beat this group right now, but Casey Kane's looking hungry. It's going to be a battle of pride here, maybe, if Kane can get underneath, but Junior took a look on Kane, putting the pressure on, helping his teammate out just a little bit, but Kane stays in front of him. Down the front stretch now, it's a couple of Gibbs cars in line, Edwards and the lap car Labonte. Junior tried to jump underneath of Kane again. Does he get there? No, he does not. Beautiful defense by that 12 with Junior right on his back bumper. Single file through about 15 cars down back. But the top 3 stay unchanged. That time by, Kane trying to build a run up and get this lead. And would like to check. Yeah, that 43 and 28 are actually both lap cars. It's hard to tell exactly who is and isn't on the lead lap at this point. A lot of competitive cars that are lapped in this race now. So it's only 6 cars under a blanket here that are on the lead lap, including a couple of lappers. But now, battle for the lead. Casey Kane got underneath the Newman finally, and he did lead that lap. It's the pride fight out front over who's got the I told you so, and Casey Kane out of turn number 2 has the lead and takes Dale Earnhardt Jr. with him.
And interestingly for Casey Kane, in the All-Star race, he was the only guy that really had anything for DJ Kennington, and that happened as the runs went on. We haven't seen Casey Kane much today, but now as this race is progressing, looks like a very, very good car, starting to gap those 2 Yates cars battling behind him.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. almost got the wall there out of turn 2, kept it out just about. Pair of Fords side by side for second. Carl Edwards is loving this up in front of him, trying to make a move into third, maybe even second. As he pulls up to this battle, gets underneath of Dale Earnhardt Jr. there. Labonte trying to give a little bit of a draft help to his teammate there behind. Newman clear into second. Edwards trying to get Jr. for third place, and he will. And how about Jason Leffler?
I'll tell you what, for Bobby Labonte, this is a very, very good opportunity at the moment, because we haven't spoken of Robbie Gordon all day, really haven't seen him, have not seen Tony Stewart either, and DJ Kennington is now mired back in the pack. So this is a really, really good opportunity for Bobby Labonte to get some much-needed points to call himself right into this championship fight.
Absolutely. Although you look at the battle for the championship early in the season, these guys who have been in the points lead, Robbie Gordon was lucky enough to get away on the lead lap. Hasn't been very competitive today, but Bobby Labonte is in the lucky dog position at the current moment. You look at other drivers. Stewart was one of the drivers who got stuck 2 laps down. So he has lapped an additional time and is running in 36th right now. And of course, Harvick is another driver who is currently trapped, trying to get up to that 18 and maybe have a shot at the lucky dog. There is a lot of trouble for your points leaders here today. Not many of them are running well. Robbie Gordon is running the best, and even then, it's been a rough race for him up to this point. Just got lucky with the positioning. A battle for the lead. Carl Edwards and Ryan Newman fighting for that first position side by side. And once again, wanted to talk about him while we had the chance. Jason Leffler, we talked about him having a strong run early, and he's one of the drivers that got back and stayed on this lead lap. And he's found himself in the top 5, trying to move all the way to 3rd if he can get past Casey Kane here. Okay.
Tell you what, it's a great run for also John Andretti, and if he is on the lead lap, hard to tell, but I know Eric Norris is on the lead lap, and a fantastic run for him, running up in this top 10. So, got some guys with some much-needed momentum shifts up here running at the front of this field.
Absolutely. Norris is on the lead lap and is in 7th place. Andretti is as well. He's 6th. Kevin Harvick is a lap car. Truex is a lap car. Labonte is a lap car. That's all the lappers that are a part of this front group. Leffler into 4th. Edwards has the lead for the moment. Has been fighting with Newman for that spot for the last couple laps. Kane pulling back into this mix. It's a 3-horse race up front right now, but Edwards a great 1 and 2 in that middle line and holds on to the lead.
When Leffler appears to have some speed underneath him, he's gaining on these guys as they battle. So that 00, don't count him out. Looks like he's got quite a bit of pace to challenge these guys.
Has a great race car underneath him, and it is turning into a career day for Jason Leffler here tonight. Casey Kane jumps underneath of Ryan Newman there for the 2nd spot. Still these two dueling for position between the two drivers that swapped seats this year. Kane once again in front of the 38, but don't look now. Leffler trying to make a move underneath, couldn't get to him into turn 3. So Kane holds on to 2nd. Lead still belongs to Edwards, but that 12 had a big 3 and 4 trying to close that gap.
Yeah, I was wondering why Leffler had dropped so far off, but it was because Casey Kane drove it so far through there and made it stick. So clearly a lot of confidence in that race car for Casey Kane. And who's to blame him? He's the defending winner of this race. It might be a different generation of car, but Casey Kane has proven that he knows how to get around this racetrack.
Absolutely, and for Kane, one of those drivers that we talked to prior to the race as we went into Saturday and before qualifying said this is one of my favorite racetracks on the schedule, and it's any wonder why he's been so competitive here these last couple seasons. He knows this place better than anybody, and he is a professional at this racetrack and runs up front over and over and over, and once again is trying to challenge for the lead with Carl Edwards.
But look at this. Jason Leffler has clawed himself into this battle. That 00 having as much speed as it's ever had as he looks for the lead of this race.
Trying to bring some glory to Haas C&C side by side for the lead right in front of him, looking to move to 2nd. Trying to follow that 12 on the bottom past his Alliance teammate Edwards on the outer line, and he is going to move into 2nd place. Might he have a shot at the lead? Kane had a great 3 and 4 again, running that middle line. So Kane to the lead, Leffler to 2nd, 3rd belongs to Edwards, 4th is Dale Jr., and 5th goes back all the way to Newman. Todd Bodine, another lap car, as well as Jimmy Johnson. And of course that 43 of Kyle Busch is a lap car, and he has moved into the lucky dog position right now.
And if you remember, they were splitting it at exactly 30 laps when they were pitting. Unfortunately, had that issue for Ricky Hendrick. So you wonder if the pit stops are kind of when things start to go awry, or if that was just a badly timed caution from Ricky Hendrick. But we're starting to get closer to this 2nd pit stop of the race. And that is when a lot of trouble has taken place at this racetrack. So you got to make sure to get in and out of your pit box cleanly, get down onto the racetrack at speed. It's a very, very hard place to do that. It's a very hard pit road to get onto, and it's even harder to get out of your box.
Absolutely, and at this racetrack, we're going to see that happen once again in just about 10 laps or so. I would expect that second pit window to be just a couple of laps later, thanks to the yellow flag. Laps would probably be around 62. Earliest pitters around 61 to 60 or so. But Casey Kane still out front. Jason Leffler second. Third now belongs to Dale Earnhardt Jr. Fourth is Carl Edwards. Ryan Newman is pulled back up to the front group. Still a lot of quick lap cars in this mix. Johnson, Harvick, Labonte. See Todd Bodine at 77 as well is a contender for a potential lucky dog position, as well as AJ Allmendinger, who's having a solid run in 25th right now. But this race continues to wind away as we look at the rest of the top 10. Eric Norris still having a strong run and has stayed steadfast in 7th. 8th belongs to Elliott Sadler, battling with Greg Biffle, and DJ Kennington, don't look now, has found his way back into the top 10.
Certainly has, and that 81 has a lot of speed, but he's just really far off the leader right now in terms of not lap time, but overall track position. He's going to have a really, really nice pit stop. But if any team was going to do it, that 81 has been so strong in the pits this year.
Saw him just power around Greg Biffle on the outside to move into the 9th position. That was a great move as he continues to pick away. It's a lot farther than it might seem from 9th place to the lead, given all these lap cars that are in the way, but he is having a great run right now. Leffler dropped backwards on this run, has fallen back now to 5th as he got stuck on the outside and is dropped behind a couple of lappers. Jimmy Johnson got in front of him. And still that 12 with a dominant race car underneath of him on the middle portion of this race holds on to the lead. Dale Earnhardt Jr. has been strong all night long, still in 2nd. And his teammate Ryan Newman trailing in 3rd as we approach halfway in the 2007 Coca-Cola 600. And the caution flag is out. Yellow flag flies for the second time. Not sure
it's for Casey Mears.
Mears is on pit road. Not sure if it was because of him, but we're going to bring it around to the yellow flag. Lucky dog will be Kyle Busch in the 43. So the caution comes out for the second time here tonight. Saw Mears on pit road. I'm not sure if the yellow flag was due to him, but gonna get a look back at the moment of caution and see exactly what took place here. Trying to look around the racetrack, see if anything happened here. Might have just been a debris caution, and I do believe it was. And that is correct. So a debris caution comes out right around that halfway mark. No incidents on the racetrack. Yellow flag flies for the second time here tonight. You're going to see Kyle Busch rejoin the lead lap, make it 20 cars on this lead lap. Coming to pit road here is going to be the race leader, Casey Kane. Right at the end of that fuel window. It's a little bit earlier than you would have liked to come down pit road here, so these guys are probably going to be a lap or two short on fuel from this point forward. But a couple of cars are going to stay out. Dale Earnhardt Jr. is number 88, going to stay on the racetrack, as does Andretti. McMurray stayed out as well, though he's a lap car. And Rudiman, who is on the lead lap, stays out as well. So Casey Kane, race leader, down pit road here on lap number 59.
As most of the field joins him, Dale Jr. with a interesting pit call. Not sure I agree with it, but he's going to stay out. We'll see if he comes in at any other point during the caution, but Casey Kane out well in front out of pit road.
Could be an interesting move for sure if the move is for these guys to stay out and then come in a lap or two later. It would make it a little bit of a better chance on fuel, and you would fall only about as low as 20th. It could be worse, so it's an interesting strategy call. Going to see if these guys are just going to straight up stay out under the yellow flag, but Casey Kane wins the race off a pit road here from Lowe's. Dale Earnhardt Jr. into the race lead as he stays out. Lap number 59 from the Coca-Cola 600. And here from Charlotte, we will be right back as these guys are going to bring it down pit road. Back from intermission here at Lowe's Motor Speedway, as taking the restart this time, John Andretti did stay out. He was the only one of the drivers who stayed out extra under yellow to remain on the racetrack, so he is going to be the race leader. Couple of lap cars, McMurray and Mears in between him and Casey Kane's number 12, who won the race off of pit road. Newman, Carl Edwards, and Jason Leffler are going to round out the top 5, and the 43 car of Kyle Busch was the lucky dog winner. He will restart in 19th. Dale Earnhardt Jr. and David Runeman, two drivers who stayed out extra for the fuel and pit in later, are going to be 17th and 18th. As we bring it to the restart here, Andretti going to be the leader with 59 laps to go on the restart. Pace car going to peel in on the left. Andretti's number 21 probably only got a couple of laps of fuel in it, but trying to lead some laps here. Going to bring it to the restart with the two lap cars in between him and Kane. And we are green once again here from Lowe's. And issues for Andretti. I do believe he might be running out of fuel, as right around the outside, Leffler and Newman got straight past him, and he drops to the bottom. And that is going to bring out another yellow flag.
That was an interesting strategy call. Clearly did not work out, but looks like Jamie McMurray going to try to dive down into the pits as well. But that really, really stacked up the field. I don't think it really changed much in terms of positions for people, but definitely could have been a lot more trouble than it was.
What it did do is give the lead to Ryan Newman instead of Casey Kane. Jason Leffler moved into second. So that's a big head scratcher for this 21 team, as they were one of the teams who were on that lead lap and had a chance to contend maybe for this win, and he might fall a lap down here if he can't roll all the way to his pit box. And even if he does...
If I'm John Andretti, I am furious on that radio because he was having a great run going up nearly in the top 5. So, unfortunate for him because that's going to put him completely off sequence and likely end his chances at an even decent finish in this race.
Yeah, and he is going to pull away here as the rest of the field comes down for extra splashes. Some 4 tires blowing up on pit road is the 4 of Clint Boyer as he retires for the race. That's a rough break for him. 55 of Casey Mears is going to be the lucky dog winner. And a lot of traffic there for Jason Leffler, and that is a huge break for Andretti as he got out in front of the leaders down pit road there, and he will just barely stay on the lead lap, and Jason Leffler on no tires is going to be the race leader here.
I'm not sure I agree with the no tire call at the position that they were in, but it is going to give them the net lead.
And tell you what, there were tire marks there in turn 2, so I do believe at least one car went around thanks to the stack up. And it was Martin Truex Jr. Did see him have some left side damage on pit road, so it came from this. And actually, this was after everybody had already taken the yellow flag and had contact with Harvick and Jeff Burton. Guess there were some tempers here or something along those lines. Going to look back at if anything had happened on the lap prior. So here's the stack up thanks to the 21 out of fuel, and not sure if there was much between the 8 and the 20 there, but yeah, Harvick got into the 8 and tipped the 28 of Truex into the wall, so that's a rough break for these two. Just a lot of chaos here in the middle portion of this race. But nonetheless, we'll bring it to intermission here from Lowe's Motor Speedway. Jason Leffler is going to move into the race lead here, lap number 65 here at Charlotte. Back from intermission here at Lowe's Motor Speedway as we get set to go green. It'll be lap number 67 on the restart for Jason Leffler, who took no tires on that last pit stop, and he will be the leader. DJ Kennington will restart in second place, and a long way back is Kane in third. Eric Norris, another one of the drivers who didn't take tires, he moves into fourth place, and Juan Pablo Montoya will move into P number 5 on the restart here. And Kevin Harvick, who was involved in that incident under yellow flag, is having some engine issues. Guess the contact into the wall did something to the front of that race car. He's going to pull it down pit road here. We will be going green regardless. And a rough day for Harvick gets worse. But nonetheless, pace car in on the left. Jason Leffler going to lead the field to the restart. DJ Kennington, 2 cars behind. Lap car Labonte in between the 81 and the 00. Green flag in the air. And we are underway once again.
Not a good start for Labonte, and it's going to stack up Kennington, allowing Jason Leffler to pull out a bit of a lead here in 1 and 2.
Field gets up to speed as we race down the backstretch on lap number 67. See Kane trying to make some headway on these lappers early. Moves underneath of Jimmy Johnson, trying to find a way underneath of Wimmer, couldn't do it. Big run by Labonte in the 18 out of turn 4, but Kennington is going to go underneath of his teammate to try and get first dibs at this lead. Getting himself back into this thing. It's been a great recovery drive from him to get back onto this lead lap and now try and challenge back for the race lead that he had a command on earlier. As he pulls right up to the back bumper of Alliance teammate, 00 of Jason Leffler. These 2 cars are prepared in the same shops. As we head down the front stretch, Kennington with a chance. Does he make the move into turn 1? Here he comes, trying to show the nose. But Leffler, ooh, he got a little loose there in turn 1. Holds onto it for now as they head down the backstretch.
Yeah, this is going to be a tall ask for Jason Leffler because that 81 has been the fastest car on the racetrack all night long. Got stuck in that traffic, but now is back racing for this lead. But I'll tell you what, Jason Leffler, a really nice corner on that high side.
Held him off. Lap car Jimmy Johnson moves into the fray there as Kennington again trying to show the nose into 1. Got all the way there. This time Leffler has to go all the way out of groove. And DJ Kennington is going to retake the race lead here on lap number 70.
Leffler nearly into the wall, had to back out and is going to lose some spots to some lappers here. Just making it a little harder for him to get back to Kennington when he has lap cars to pass on his way there. Gonna have a little bit of help in the 77, but I believe that 12 car is the next car in line on the lead lap.
That would be correct. It goes back to third place Casey Kane, fourth place Eric Norris, who has held his own since the restart. A great run by that 51 again. We keep mentioning him. He is
looking
having
for third here.
Fantastic run, trying to get underneath the Kane for third. Didn't quite have enough of a run to do it, but he's going to follow him past the lap car of Wimmer. And Kennington getting forced out of line by Jimmy Johnson, the lap car. This might allow Jason Leffler back into the lead.
I'll tell you what, for Eric Norris, being able to see the leaders up in front of him has really lit a fire underneath him. A 4th place showing right now and is really not that far off.
And managed to stay in front of Newman going into turn 3 and hold that 4th position. Has a lap car of Bobby Labonte in between him and Kane now. Going to try and get past this Gibbs 18 in turn 1, and he stayed with him going into the corner. How about this 51? This is one of the greatest standout runs I think we've ever seen. And he cleared it.
Chaos or not, there's still a lot of good cars up here, and that 51 is not only holding his own, but gaining on these front leaders.
Newman had a fantastic 3 and 4, though. Might try to get underneath him, and he will. He did just about manage it. Kane's going to get past Kennington for second. He's been the kryptonite of that 81 car since they offloaded at this racetrack a week ago. Heading down the backstretch as Bodine is another driver trying to unlap himself here. Jason Leffler still in the lead. Has a bit of a buffer to Kane, but might lose all of it thanks to Kane's teammate, that 77. Bodine moves past him, back onto the lead lap, tail end here. Kane trying to get underneath Leffler into 1, but he could not do it, and Leffler holds on to first.
Ooh, Norris and Newman very close there, nearly contact into one. Norris got loose but was able to hold on. That's the front five under a blanket here for the lead.
Top three pull away just a little bit. Leffler, Kane, Kennington, Norris in fourth. Ryan Newman's in fifth. The sixth place car is Carl Edwards in the 19, a couple of lappers behind.
Newman threw an unbelievable block on Bobby Labonte. Perry nearly turned himself in the process, but that's going to get him that fourth spot. Finally over Eric Norris.
Norris begins to drop backwards just a little bit. Leffler dropped out of the lead to Kane in the 12. It's 12:81. Same story from last Sunday for this race lead here with 44 laps to go at the line.
Newman now starting to gain in as Norris slips back through the order. Looks like that car's starting to fade a little bit. But the 38 of Newman coming alive. This is the fastest we've seen him run all race long. As Kane trying to hold on with Kennington right behind.
Four cars under a blanket for first. Todd Bodine's lap car, the 77, is in the mix. Jimmy Johnson out in front of the leaders as well. Kennington and Kane pull away just a little bit as Leffler trying to work on that 77. Kennington, a huge move into turn one.
Makes a big dive, but can't keep it. Has to lift out. It's going to slide up. Casey Kane going to get a really nice run off. That 12.
Wow, monster run by that 12 in 1 and 2.
That 12 and 81, as in the All-Star race, are the cars to beat in this one. This time a little bit longer of a race to see how this is going to play out. But those two look like the cars to beat in this race.
Coming up on the final third of tonight's race, it'll be 41 laps to go next time and 40 to go after that. Kane trying to relap this 48 car maybe as he closes in on Jimmy Johnson. Kennington second. Third now belongs to Newman as he got past Jason Leffler, who is now in fourth, and fifth place is Carl Edwards in the 19 as he has looked strong all night long trying to find his way into the mix for first.
Leffler makes a big dive bomb on Mayfield. The lap car has to lift out. But that was roughly the same move that Kennington made on Kane for the lead. That wasn't quite able to stick. But right now, Jimmy Johnson leading this pack of leaders, as this is going to allow them to get bunched up to maybe let Kennington make a move, but instead it's going to be Kane under this 48 car trying to negotiate this lapper.
Johnson trying to fight for his lap back. It could be important if we get one more yellow in this race. Todd Bodine is going to try and fight him for the lucky dog spot if Kane can get him here, and he does. And Kennington kind of got boxed in by the 77 who went down to the bottom. So that puts two lappers in between Kane and second place DJ Kennington, as Johnson is going to fall victim to the 77 and the 81. Newman closing in from third as well. 40 laps to go in the Coke 600.
Kennington looked to the middle there between the 77 and 48, thought better of it, but was clearly impatient being stuck behind those two, as it shows now with Newman hot on the back bumper of that 81.
Trying to get underneath of him for second place as Kennington up on the outside, still boxed in by these lappers. Bodine forcing Kennington to go the long way around and blocked him all the way to the wall.
Kennington not too happy about that, showing the nose, maybe a little displeasure there. Leffler almost into the wall behind them, the back of the frame, as Kennington looks like he is going to get around Bodine here.
Yeah, Todd's just trying to keep that 48 behind him for the lucky dog spot. Maybe got a little too aggressive there. And also helping out his Alliance teammate, of course. That Jasper car is a part of that Penske pipeline. And that 12's leading this race right now, so trying to play a little bit of politics, but didn't last long enough. And Kennington with a clean shot to Kane for the lead, now trying to run him down for first as they are nearly three wide behind them out of turn two.
And Newman really struggling to get by these guys. It's putting him back into the fray with Jason Leffler and Carl Edwards. Well out of this fight for the lead. Pit stops are going to be happening fairly soon.
My goodness!
Oh, by Jimmy Johnson.
Contact between the 77 and the 48, but Imes in the wall!
As Jimmy Johnson put a major block on Ryan Newman. And it's going to end up in the onion hitting the wall there. Unfortunate break for him, as he was running right in that fray for the lucky dog, provided a caution were to happen.
Yeah, you saw that huge block by Jimmy Johnson on that 38, and Bodine probably didn't think that probably didn't even know that they were 3 wide because of the 38 just barely with the nose underneath of Jimmy Johnson, and shoves Bodine into the wall, drops all the way down to 25th, down 2 or 3 spots, and Jimmy Johnson comfortably in the lucky dog spot now. Newman didn't get past that 48. That was a really rough break for that 77.
Yeah, very, very unfortunate for him, because it looked like he had quite a bit of speed, was racing up with these leaders, and really wasn't dropping off of them much at all. So clearly a good car underneath that 77. Just an unfortunate break there with a really, really aggressive block from Jimmy Johnson.
Absolutely. Approaching these final 30 laps here at Lowe's Motor Speedway as Kane and Kennington first and second, approaching that final fuel window. Probably going to be seeing our final pit stops around lap 95, maybe a little bit later than that, as Kane comfortably in the lead, but not too comfortable, as Kennington has continued to slowly reel him in for first. Newman, Leffler, Edwards not out of the frame yet. Third, fourth, and fifth might still have a say in this mix for the win, so a lot of racing left as Kane is trying to run and hide, but Kennington has not let him out of his sights yet.
More and more this race goes on, the more and more these two look like the class of the field, but Newman and Leffler are both still within the fight, albeit at the back of the frame, but those two cars definitely have some speed, especially on the short runs. But I think, the further this run goes on, the 12 and the 81 just appear to have the two fastest cars on the racetrack pretty considerably.
Tell you what, Newman was pretty quick through 3 and 4 that last time, closing back up to Jimmy Johnson, trying to get past the lapper and make it a 3-horse race for this lead. Kane didn't really have a good 1 and 2 that time, and down the backstretch, here comes DJ Kennington trying to retake the lead. Side by side through turns 3 and 4, taking 30 laps to go this time, and Kennington makes quick work of the 12 and moves back into first. Ryan Newman trying to follow Jimmy Johnson on the bottom and takes second. Leffler and Edwards not too far out of it either, in 4th and 5th place. But Kane, a masterful corner on the outside there. Did he keep it in the throttle? He did, trying to clear Jimmy Johnson. And we're seeing our final pit stop start to take place here. And Kennington, with 30 laps to go, coming to 29 to go, is going to bring it down pit road. Newman and Jimmy Johnson down as well. Kane back to the lead. And that is tight on fuel.
This should put them right on the number, but if we were to get a caution, they would be in some trouble here. So I think, personally, I like the call for Casey Kane, for Jason Leffler, for Carl Edwards to run this, even if just a lap longer, because we have seen throughout this race, right at that 30 lap mark, maybe 35 lap mark, a lot of, that's when the issues have been happening. So you get a caution here, it definitely ensures you a little bit more for potential caution laps if you pit now.
Not only that, but for these drivers, it's more important, I'd say, for the fuel mileage, because of the fact that we saw in the very first pit stop, there were drivers coming in as early as 28 laps into this race, so it could be really tight on fuel. And the only car who made it 2 extra laps, this number 10, JJ Yaley.
If this race were to go green, JJ Yaley, interesting to watch him. He could have a chance here with the way that this strategy has worked out. Again, if it goes green, it does have to go all the way to the end, but Kennington looks like he is well out in front.
Kennington coming around to pick up the drivers who came down pit road that last time, see where he cycles out in comparison to Casey Kane's number 12, who is leaving turn 2 right now, but Kennington all the way up to speed, and he's going to slip right on past back into the net race lead.
By a very good margin as well, that 81. It's at full speed. 12 hasn't gotten up to full speed yet. That's going to be about a quarter of a corner for that 81. And that's a big gap to surmount.
It's about a second and change between this 12 and this 81. as this time by Kennington will officially be scored the leader after Yaley was the only car to make it that extra lap. So inside 30 laps to go now, the question becomes for these race leaders if they're going to have enough fuel to make it. It's going to be real tight for some of these guys. And we might see some surprises late in this race if it goes green all the way to the end. The field is very spread out now. It would have to be some sort of mechanical issue if we were going to have any sort of changes in terms of yellow flag conditions. But looking back at that, wanted to get an update on that 51 of Eric Norris, who is now in P number 12. Still a very strong run for that 51, but drops outside of the top 10, as John Andretti has recovered to a top 10 run in the 21 car. Mears in 9th, also a good recovery after being off cycle himself. Dale Earnhardt Jr. sits 8th. Brad Keselowski a quiet day in 7th. Jeff Gordon has recovered all the way to 6th. Jason Leffler has dropped to the 5th position now, as 4th belongs to Carl Edwards. 3rd is Ryan Newman. Casey Kane in 2nd, and DJ Kennington trying to hold on to this win with 24 laps to go this time by, but Kane is just a little bit faster than him right now, trying to run him down for 1st.
If I'm DJ Kennington right now, though, when you have that gap, I'm trying to save a little bit of fuel just to ensure yourself that you can make it to the end of this race, because he was one of the first people to pit. Did not stay out any extra laps. So if anybody's going to be tight, it would be that 81. 12, remember, came in a lap later. So if these cycles play out the way that they maybe could, Casey Kane might be in a little bit better of a spot here.
Not to mention the draft that he's getting off the 81 right now that not only is saving him a little bit of fuel, but pulling him back up towards this race leader to try and make it a race for 1st. And he had a fantastic 3 and 4 that last time. There were a couple of other cars that pit even earlier than the race leader DJ Kennington, Jeff Gordon and Montoya, but all the drivers who were on pit road even earlier than these guys were already non-factors for the race win, I would have to think. So it's Kennington, Kane, Newman not far out of it in 3rd, trying to make it a race for this win. Approaching 20 laps to go in a couple of times. Kane has caught all the way back up to DJ Kennington for 1st, and it is a repeat of the All-Star.
But now he's got to get around him, and it looks like he's trying to waste no time doing that. Gets down to the bottom, looking for that race lead now. Kennington up the racetrack. It should be the 12 out to the race lead out of the 2. But Kennington trying to hold strong on that outside, can't do it. New leader, Casey Kane.
Kane moves back to 1st on the fresher tires. Kennington drops to 2nd. It's last year's Coca-Cola 600 winner who's now got the lead of this race with 20 laps to go here at Lowe's Motor Speedway. Newman still trying to find a way into this mix, as is Carl Edwards, who's come alive late. But right now, it's just these two.
In a little bit higher that time. Kennington able to draw back to that back bumper, looks to the inside. The battle is on for the race win.
Side by side into turn 3. Kane on the outside, Kennington on the inside. 81 trying to retake 1st. Down out of turn 4 this time. They are side by side. Believe Kennington had it by just a skosh at the stripe, and he did. Still side by side into turn 1. Kane trying to hang tight on that outside, but Kennington drove it in huge into turn number 1 and retakes the lead.
Almost up into the wall there. Is now Jimmy Johnson going to try to blow past this leader, as he is in the lucky dog spot if something was to go awry. There is a bit to race for here for him, but Kane now drops back off of Kennington and just about in drafting distance of Ryan Newman, which might pull him up into this battle as well.
And Carl Edwards, again, keep mentioning him, still looking strong late in this race. Has maybe the best car of these 4 if he can get up into the mix. But they're running out of time to do it. Kennington, his teammate, out in the race lead right now. Kane trying to regroup after falling behind the lapper, Jimmy Johnson, who has put a lot of pressure on Kennington to try and get in front of him. That 48 has really been a thorn in the side of these leaders since about the halfway mark in this race. And he's trying to force Kennington to go a little bit high. Kennington holding him off for the moment as they head down the backstretch. But Kane still in the mirror of these two, trying to get up there and retake this race lead. But the laps are starting to run out. Edwards has dropped off a little bit over the last couple laps. Newman is just about hanging on. So far, though, still seeming like it's just between these two. 16 to go.
As the laps run down, you start to wonder maybe what the fuel situation is going to look like, knowing that Kennington was not able to make it that extra lap that Kane was. Kane has been in the draft longer than this 81 car, so he's been able to save even more fuel. The discussion could become, can Kane make it to the end? As now Jimmy Johnson going to get to the inside of Kennington here, as Kane going to maybe try to follow this 81 through and get this 48 out of here.
Kane trying to figure out which way to go. Does he help the 48? Does he help the 81? He's going to go underneath, trying to push the lap car past Kennington and take the lead himself. And this time by, he does have the lead by a fender. Kane back to first. This is pulling Newman and Edwards back closer again inside the final 15 laps as Kane into turn 1, clear for the lead once more.
Kane clear for the lead, but now it puts Kennington in a position where he can use the draft to try to save some fuel. We'll see how this plays out, but for the moment, the net win is between this 12 and 81 and potentially the 38. He is starting to draw closer to that bumper of the 81. Should be within the draft now.
Kane is going to try to put Johnson back down a lap again and put him as a buffer between himself and the 81, and he is going to do just that. But Kennington had a huge run on Johnson, might just put him behind himself going into turn 3. Johnson all the way on the outside, and he stays in front of the 81. So Kane gets exactly what he wants, has a buffer between himself and Kennington. More lap traffic up the road. That's the 57 of Scott Riggs.
And Riggs looks to be well off the pace here. So this could be a potential spot for Newman and Edwards to try to gain in here and put themselves in position to fight for the win of this race if Kane gets held here.
Might have just a little bit as he pulls up to the back bumper of the 57, but he is going to get underneath him on the front stretch. Kennington's up behind Jimmy Johnson. Going to try and get underneath him and get a clean shot at Casey Kane for the lead. Side by side between the 81 and the 48, but Johnson had a great run on the outside and stayed in front. Kennington has to be fuming in that race car right now with this lap car Jimmy Johnson, who has been a nuisance all night long. Now the lap car wins.
You remember with Johnson threw that really, really aggressive block on Ryan Newman earlier. Now he was running in the 3rd spot. And now Johnson has blocked Kane and Kennington in at least once in this run. So I think Jimmy just trying to prove maybe that, he had the speed to contend for this win, but I don't think his competitors are going to be very happy with him, completely messing with the outcome of this race.
Battle for 3rd as Ryan Newman was all the way against the wall in 3 and 4 there as Carl Edwards is trying to move into the 3rd spot with now 9 laps to go. And he gets past the 38 into the 3rd position. Again, we talked about the fact this 19 might be the best car, this top 4 right now. And he's slowly gotten up to these guys and might have a shot at the win late. But Kennington has dropped a long way off of Casey Kane, who has pulled away in the lead. And this could be over for first if Kane can continue to run and hide.
Yeah, but the further we run, the more you have to wonder about fuel. It was very close on the number when they came in. Kennington would likely be the first to come in of these guys, because if you remember, Edwards and Newman both had that same strategy with Casey Kane. The only one to make it that extra lap was the 10 of J.J. Yavely. I'm unsure where he's running right now, but if it plays out just perfectly, maybe he's somebody we might have to talk about here late in this race.
Carl Edwards continuing his late race charge as he goes underneath of his teammate to try and take away second and get first dibs at Kane for the race lead. Down the backstretch, side by side between the 81 and the 19, and Carl Edwards has moved up into the 2nd position, running down that leader late, and he still looks like he might have the car to beat right now, but he's got a long way to get to Kane for the lead in just 6 laps.
That's a lot to make up in 6 laps, but that 19 flying at the moment. Looks like he's found something late. We'll see if he can get there. But if anybody's going to get to Casey Kane, that 19 looks bad fast.
Kane pulls away from the lap car. Johnson down the backstretch. Edwards had the best 1 and 2 out of all of the top 4 that time and is continuing to try and run down this race leader. Still looking unbelievably fast here late, but does he have enough time to do it? 5 laps to go for Casey Kane, trying to repeat in the Coke 600.
For the moment, has that position, but Carl Edwards starting to draw closer, but he can't mince his words with Jimmy Johnson. Has to get under him, and has to get under him quickly if he wants a chance at this 12 car.
Kane right now a winner of 2 straight races at this racetrack. Already won the 600 last year, was the winner of the All-Star this year, trying to go back-to-back, trying to sweep the weekend. Edwards has gotten to the back bumper of Jimmy Johnson with 4 to go. Didn't get underneath him there yet, but he might do it out of turn 2 this time, trying to get a chance at the race leader. Down the backstretch they go as Edwards is right there on the 48. Does he make the move into 3? Not quite enough of a run. Might very well push the 48 all the way up to the race leader, coming to 3 to go this time.
And if he's close on that number, it might actually be smart for him to do that because he's using that draft of the 48. Now is going to get underneath him. Can't wait much longer here with 4 to go. Jimmy goes way up the racetrack. That should be this position for Carl Edwards.
Edwards moves past Jimmy Johnson and has a clean shot to try and catch Casey Kane, but there are only 2.5 laps left. Down through turns 3 and 4 this time, Kane had a way better set of corners, and Johnson is going to pressure the 19 and very well might get underneath him, and he is going to with 2 to go.
2 laps to go. It looks like the fuel will hold. Casey Kane now trying to make it back-to-back in the Coke 600, won the All-Star race, has been flawless at this racetrack for now 2 years running, and now has 1 more lap to solidify himself in Charlotte history.
Couple of cars didn't make it on fuel. The drivers who pit the earliest didn't make it, but it doesn't matter for the leaders as Kennington stayed on the track. White flag in the air. 1 more time around for Casey Kane as he leads comfortably now over Carl Edwards. It's been an amazing race here tonight, one unlike many we've ever seen before. But for this 12 car, who has absolutely dominated at this racetrack over the last year and a half, he's going to do it again. Casey Kane out of turn 4 goes back-to-back in the Coca-Cola 600, and he wins it here tonight. What a performance by him and that 12 team, and I do believe that is Casey Kane's first win for Penske in the 12.
Yeah, it looks like he's going to get the I told you so over Ryan Newman. Quite a few guys didn't make it. Kennington did make it. So for the leaders, the fuel does hold up. But a great race tonight that was flipped on its head after a early caution from Ricky Hendrick. The fastest cars, though, still made their way back up to the front. And the fastest car tonight, Casey Kane, will end up in victory lane after a great showing here in Charlotte.
What a performance it was tonight, and what a battle for this win it was at the end. And Casey Kane is going to hold on to win here tonight after a fantastic performance. And as mentioned, for Casey Kane, it goes down in the books as his first win for Penske, and he goes back-to-back in the Coca-Cola 600. What a feat to win this race in back-to-back years.
And with 2 separate teams, that is an unbelievable feat. I mean, this race is so difficult for the drivers because it's a race of attrition, but nobody's been better at attrition than Casey Kane in the last 2 years, and winning the All-Star race as well has to make it even that little bit sweeter for this 12 team. But a very strong showing from that 12 team tonight, and a deserving winner is going to enter victory lane for the first time with his new team.
Casey Kane sweeps the weekend here in Lowe's, and he is your winner of a thriller of a Coke 600. On behalf of Nate joining me in the booth here tonight, that'll do it for our coverage here from Lowe's Motor Speedway as Casey Kane wins it here at the Coke 600. Next week, it'll be Richmond, the Pontiac Excitement 400, as we get set on the second third of the 2007 season. But that will be all. And as always, I've been your host, Caden Reif. It's been a pleasure to have you along every step of the way, and we will see you next time. And as always, have yourself a good one.
It's a long way to the top.